There is a painful truth that most people spend their lives trying not to face. You are not suffering because you have no potential. You are suffering because you keep betraying it. Somewhere inside you, there is a version of yourself that is stronger, clearer, more disciplined, more courageous, and far more capable than the life you are currently living. It reminds you of the promises you made, the standards you once believed in. To the future, you said you would build, yet every day, that future moves farther away. Not because it is impossible, but because your actions do not match your ambition. This is the potential gap. It is the distance between who you could become and what you repeatedly choose to do. Talent cannot close this gap. Intelligence cannot close it. Inspiration cannot close it. Only disciplined action, repeated after excitement has disappeared, can carry you across it. The world is filled with gifted people who remain invisible. They had ideas, but no execution. They had dreams, but no endurance. They had ability, but no structure. They confused being capable with becoming accomplished. Potential is only a possibility. It is raw material. It is a seed, and a seed that is never planted, watered, protected, and cultivated will never become a tree. Even a powerful seed will die in the darkness if no one accepts the responsibility of growth. Your potential works the same way. It does not care what you intended to do. It responds only to what you practice, what you repeat, and what you are willing to sacrifice for. This is why a person with average talent and extraordinary consistency will often surpass a person with exceptional talent and weak discipline. One person keeps showing up, the other keeps waiting to feel ready. One person builds quietly, the other talks about what could happen. One person accepts discomfort as the price of transformation. The other keeps negotiating with weakness. Over time, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. The consistent person becomes skilled, confident, respected, and dangerous in the best sense. The inconsistent person becomes frustrated and confused, wondering why life never changed. But life did not refuse to change. The person refused to remain committed long enough for change to occur. Your greatest enemy is not the lack of opportunity. It is the habit of abandoning yourself every time you delay what matters, every time you lower your standard, every time you choose comfort over duty. You teach your mind that your own word has no value, not because others doubt you, but because you no longer trust yourself. Self-respect is not built through positive thoughts. It is built through evidence. It grows each time you do what you said you would do. It strengthens each time you remain steady when quitting would be easier. It becomes unshakable when your actions prove that your values are stronger than your moods. The tragedy is not that you might fail. Failure can teach you. The tragedy is that you may never discover what you were capable of because you kept stopping before your strength had time to appear. Most breakthroughs arrive after the point where the average person gives up. Most transformations begin where results are still invisible. This is why the beginning of change is often lonely. There is no applause. There is no guarantee. There is only the decision to continue. You must stop worshiping your potential and begin demanding proof from yourself. Stop telling yourself that you could be great. Build the habits that make greatness inevitable. Stop waiting for a better mood, a clearer sign, or a perfect moment. The perfect moment is a fantasy created by a mind that fears discomfort. Your life will not rise to the level of your dreams. It will settle at the level of your repeated behavior So look honestly at the distance between your words and your actions. Look at what you say matters. Then look at what receives your time. That difference reveals your true priorities. Do not use this truth to shame yourself. Use it to wake yourself. The gap is real, but it is not permanent. It can be closed, not in one heroic day, but through hundreds of ordinary days lived with unusual commitment. The question is no longer whether you have potential. The question is whether you are finally willing to become the person who can carry it. The moment you recognize the distance between your potential and your actions, another truth appears. You do not fail because you never begin. You fail because you begin again and again. Then disappear when the work stops feeling exciting. This is the cycle of quitting. It begins with emotion, a new goal enters your mind, and for a few days you feel powerful. You imagine the transformation, the recognition, the freedom, the stronger body, the sharper mind, the better life. You buy the tools, make the plan, announce the intention, and mistake this surge of energy for commitment. But emotion is a visitor. It arrives loudly and leaves without warning. When it leaves, the work remains. The alarm still rings. The page is still empty. The body is still tired. The results are still invisible. This is where most people collapse. They believe the loss of excitement means the goal is wrong, the timing is bad, or they are not naturally suited for the path. In reality, nothing has gone wrong. They have simply reached the point where transformation actually begins. The first days were powered by imagination. The next days must be powered by character. Yet the mind resists this transition. It seeks novelty because novelty feels rewarding. It avoids repetition because repetition feels ordinary. It wants the reward of mastery without the boredom of practice. It wants confidence without the years of evidence. It wants a new life without the death of old habits. So it creates excuses that sound intelligent. You need more preparation. You should wait until next week. You are too busy today. You deserve a break. Perhaps another method would be better. These thoughts do not arrive as enemies. They arrive as reasonable suggestions. That is why they are dangerous. The cycle continues because each time discomfort appears, you interpret it as a signal to stop. You do not yet understand that resistance is not a warning. It is the gate. The difficulty is not proof that you cannot do it. It is proof that the old version of you is being challenged. Every meaningful goal creates friction because it demands behaviors your current identity has not yet mastered. When the work becomes repetitive, your fantasy is replaced by reality. You see how much patience is required. You discover that progress is slower than desire. You realize that no one is coming to carry you. At that point, the untrained mind searches for escape. It chooses another goal, another plan, another beginning. Starting again feels clean. Continuing feels heavy. So you become addicted to beginnings and afraid of the middle. But every life-changing result is hidden in the middle. The middle is where nobody praises you. The middle is where the mirror shows little change. The middle is where your effort feels larger than your reward. It is also where discipline is born. You must stop judging the path by how inspired you feel. Inspiration may open the door, but it cannot walk the road. Mental strength is built when you act after the feeling is gone. It is built when you keep the promise on the dull day, the difficult day, the day when progress cannot be seen. You do not need a stronger dream. You need a stronger response to discomfort. Each time you quit, you train the mind to escape. Each time you continue, you train the mind to endure. This is why quitting becomes easier with repetition. And persistence becomes stronger with practice. Your behavior is always teaching you who you are. If you repeatedly abandon the work, you begin to identify as someone who cannot finish. That identity becomes a prison, but it can be broken. The next time the excitement fades, do not panic. Recognize the moment. Say to yourself, this is not the end. This is the entrance. Reduce the drama. Return to the next action. Do not ask whether you feel motivated. Ask what must be completed today. Do not measure your entire future. Measure the next step. The cycle of quitting is not broken through one emotional promise. It is broken when you remain present during the exact moment you once escaped. That moment is your training ground. Stay there. Work there. Become stronger there. You do not need to prove that you can begin again. You have already proven that many times. Now you must prove that you can remain. You have already seen why excitement cannot carry you through the middle of the journey. Now you must understand what can. Consistency is not a gift that some people receive at birth while others are denied. It is a muscle. It grows through use, weakens through neglect, and becomes reliable only when it is trained under resistance. No one becomes consistent by thinking about consistency. No one develops discipline by waiting to feel disciplined. Strength appears when you repeatedly do what is difficult, especially when no immediate reward is visible. This is how the mind is trained. Each completed action becomes a small act of proof. Each kept promise tells your nervous system that discomfort does not control you. Each return to the task teaches your identity that you are no longer a person who depends on mood. At first, this training feels unnatural. The old self complains. The body seeks comfort. The mind searches for reasons to delay. This is not evidence that you are failing. It is evidence that the muscle is being challenged. A muscle does not grow from comfort. It grows when tension is accepted, when strain is managed, when the body is asked to become more capable than it was yesterday. Consistency follows the same law. You must place yourself under controlled pressure, then remain there long enough to adapt. Begin with promises small enough to keep, but serious enough to matter. 10 pages read each day, 30 minutes of focused work, one training session completed before excuses begin. These actions may appear insignificant, but repetition gives them power. A single drop of water seems weak, yet water shapes stone because it returns without negotiation. Your daily action must become the same: quiet, precise, and persistent. Do not chase intensity. Intensity is often a disguise for impatience. People work with extreme force for 3 days, then disappear for 3 weeks. They mistake exhaustion for commitment. True discipline is not proven by how hard you can push once. It is proven by how steadily you can continue. The goal is not to destroy yourself in one effort. The goal is to build a rhythm your life can support. This rhythm will require sacrifice. Every repeated action demands the refusal of another option. To train, you may need to leave the bed. To focus, you may need to silence the phone. To grow, you may need to disappoint the part of you that wants immediate pleasure. Sacrifice is not punishment. It is the price of direction. When you say yes to a higher standard, you must say no to habits that keep you weak. This refusal strengthens the muscle. Every temptation resisted is a repetition. Every excuse rejected is a repetition. Every difficult day completed is a repetition. Over time, the struggle changes. The action that once required a battle begins to feel normal. The mind stops arguing because it learns that the decision has already been made. This is the hidden reward of consistency. It reduces the amount of energy required to do what matters. What was once a daily debate becomes a standard. What was once painful becomes familiar. What was once fragile becomes part of your character. But do not become careless when this happens. A trained muscle still requires maintenance. Miss once and return quickly. Do not turn one mistake into a new identity. Weak people use a bad day as permission to abandon the path. Strong people treat it as a signal to restore the rhythm. Consistency does not mean perfection. It means loyalty to the direction. It means refusing to remain down. It means understanding that progress is not destroyed by one interruption, but it can be destroyed by repeated surrender. You are not trying to become a machine. You are trying to become trustworthy to yourself. That trust will not be built through grand declarations. It will be built through ordinary actions performed with unusual devotion. One day, you will look back and realize that your transformation did not happen in a single dramatic moment. It happened through hundreds of quiet decisions that no one saw. The muscle became stronger because you kept using it. The identity became stronger because you kept proving it. And when resistance returns, as it always will, you will no longer ask whether you can continue. You will know that continuing is simply what you do. A strong consistency muscle gives you the power to continue. But power without direction can still be wasted. You can become disciplined and still walk toward the wrong destination. You can endure discomfort and still build a life that feels empty. This is why consistency must be anchored to something deeper than routine. It must be connected to your why. Your why is the light that remains visible when motivation disappears.